Perhaps certain women simply weren't destined for motherhood. Beverly's words floated from the kitchen area. Maybe we should cease this charade. I stood motionless in the corridor, my fingers clutching the doorframe for support. Eavesdropping hadn't been intentional, yet her statement cut through me with razor-like accuracy. "Mother, please," Michael's response came, his tone hushed yet strained. "We're doing everything we can. The physicians claim there's no medical explanation preventing conception." 24 months, Michael. 2 full years of these alleged treatments with 0 results. I despise watching you squander your existence waiting for something that's obviously not destined to occur. I retreated soundlessly, my pulse racing frantically. The medication container I'd intended to collect remained abandoned on the kitchen surface as I withdrew to the guest quarters. My identity is Geneva Wilson, 36 years of age, employed as a paralegal with Sandoval and Associates in Albuquerque. For 24 months, I've been consuming fertility drugs, adhering to rigid timetables and experiencing monthly letdowns while attempting conception with my spouse Michael. Each negative result has represented a small burial service for dreams that never came to fruition. Beverly, my husband's mother, relocated into our residence temporarily following the sale of her property the previous year. Her stay was meant to be brief until she secured alternative housing, yet months elapsed without any indication of her searching. Instead, she had woven herself into every facet of our existence, especially our fertility struggles. "I'm simply attempting to assist," she would declare, organizing my prescriptions, prompting me about medical visits, posing intrusive inquiries regarding my menstrual cycle. I had embraced her participation, desperate for encouragement and anxious to demonstrate my worthiness of her son. Michael and I had consistently intended to have offspring. We postponed it for years while I completed my education and built my profession, certain that when the moment arrived, biology would comply. When it failed to happen, we pursued medical intervention. The physicians discovered no physical issues with either of us, merely one of those mysterious infertility cases that would ultimately resolve through medication and perseverance. I positioned myself on the mattress edge, Beverly's statements reverberating in my thoughts. Had she been expressing these sentiments to Michael consistently? Did he privately concur with her assessment? While sitting there, I recalled something strange from that morning. During my preparation for work, I had observed my fertility tablets appear different, somewhat larger with a subtly altered gleam. I had attributed it to a generic brand replacement by the drugstore. Now, an icy suspicion developed in my abdomen. I retrieved my phone and searched for photographs of my medication, comparing them to my mental image of what I had consumed that morning. They were mismatched. With quivering hands, I examined the reminder application on my device. My prescription required refilling 3 weeks prior, yet I possessed no recollection of collecting it. Beverly had volunteered to manage it, claiming she was delighted to assist with anything that might produce a grandchild. A horrifying possibility began forming in my consciousness. Michael and I first encountered each other at a courthouse where I was submitting paperwork for my company, and he was reporting on a case for the local publication. He had requested my assistance navigating the clerk's department, and I had provided more than directions. I had given him my contact information. 6 months afterward, we were betrothed. 1 year later, we wed in a modest ceremony at his family's residence. Beverly had appeared encouraging initially. She welcomed me with extravagant dinners and considerate presents, though there were always subtle tensions. Remarks about Michael's former girlfriend who pursued medicine, inquiries about when I intended to advance beyond paralegal duties, gentle reminders that the Wilson lineage maintained specific standards. When we declared our intentions to begin a family, Beverly's attention magnified. She forwarded articles regarding maternal age and fertility issues. She reminisced about conceiving Michael effortlessly at 23. She began appearing at our residence unexpectedly, frequently during periods when we might have been attempting conception. Despite these strains, I had never regarded her as an adversary. I perceived her as a woman who cherished her son intensely, perhaps excessively. I trusted that once I became expectant, she would redirect that passion toward her grandchild. I desired to make our relationship function. When Beverly sold her residence and required accommodation, I was the one who proposed she move in with us. Michael had wavered, but I persisted. It represented a chance to fortify our connection, I reasoned, to demonstrate I wasn't the career-focused daughter-in-law she dreaded. Her presence immediately altered our home's atmosphere. She prepared elaborate meals that disregarded my dietary requirements. She relocated furniture and decorations without permission. She implemented routines that revolved around her convenience. Most importantly, she began overseeing my fertility care. It commenced innocuously, offering to collect prescriptions when she was already conducting errands, establishing a pill dispenser in the kitchen where she could remind me to consume my medication. I had felt appreciative of her assistance, interpreting it as acceptance. There had been warning indicators in retrospect, instances when I was confident I possessed more tablets remaining in a container. Occasions when the medication appeared different, a slightly modified color or form that I blamed on lighting or my imagination. A strange contentment in Beverly's demeanor when my menstruation arrived monthly. However, nothing substantial enough to warrant suspicion. Nothing that couldn't be attributed to generic substitutions or my own stress perception. Then arrived the peculiar coincidences. Whenever Beverly visited her sister for a weekend, I would feel different, more vigorous, with the familiar hormonal changes the medication was intended to produce. When she returned, those sensations would disappear. I had dismissed these patterns as stress-related, a psychosomatic response to having our house to ourselves. Now I wasn't certain. That evening, I retrieved the pill organizer from the kitchen counter while Beverly was occupied watching her television shows. In the bathroom, I examined the contents meticulously. The tablets appeared similar to my prescription initially, white, circular, approximately identical size. However, compared to the reference images on my phone, the distinctions were clear. These lacked any manufacturer's marking. The edges were more polished. They dissolved more rapidly when I placed one in water. These weren't my fertility medications. They resembled simple sugar tablets. I disposed of them in the toilet, my hands trembling with fury and incredulity. Could Beverly truly have been undermining my treatments? For what duration? And for what purpose? The questions churned in my mind as I heard Michael return from work. I composed myself, determined not to confront anyone until I possessed proof beyond a single day's pills. I needed to be calculated, to comprehend the complete extent of Beverly's interference before taking measures. During dinner, I observed Beverly attentively as she inquired about my physician's appointment scheduled for the upcoming week. "I can transport you," she offered, serving Michael an additional portion of roast chicken while providing me a notably smaller piece. "You shouldn't need to concern yourself with downtown parking." "That's thoughtful, but I'll handle it," I responded, maintaining a neutral tone. "My workplace is merely a few blocks away." Still, it must be quite stressful attending these appointments month after month without results. Her sympathetic manner didn't correspond with the spark in her eyes. "Have they proposed alternatives yet?" "Alternatives?" I repeated. "Well, adoption or perhaps surrogacy with a younger egg donor." Beverly patted Michael's hand. "There are numerous ways to establish a family nowadays." Michael appeared uncomfortable but stayed silent, concentrating on his meal rather than defending me. His passivity felt like another betrayal. "The physicians remain optimistic," I stated cautiously. "Sometimes these treatments require time." 2 years exceeds time, dear." Beverly's smile was razor-sharp. "It's a signal." That night, I couldn't rest. While Michael snored beside me, I slipped from bed and searched our bathroom thoroughly. In the rear of a drawer beneath Beverly's guest toiletries, I discovered a prescription bottle bearing my name, my actual fertility medication. The date indicated it had been filled just 3 weeks ago, yet the bottle was nearly complete. She had been intercepting my prescriptions and substituting the genuine medication with sugar tablets, all while feigning assistance. The proof shook me fundamentally. I returned the bottle precisely as I had located it and crept back to bed, my mind racing with implications. For 2 years, I had blamed myself for our failure to conceive. I had endured invasive procedures, hormonal effects, and devastating disappointment while the solution was being intentionally withheld from me by someone I trusted. I remained awake until sunrise, calculating and strategizing. I wouldn't confront Beverly immediately. I needed to be more intelligent than that. I needed to understand if Michael was complicit or merely unaware, and most crucially, I needed to secure access to my genuine medication without revealing my knowledge. The game had shifted, and Beverly had no idea I was now participating. The following morning, I contacted my physician's office from work and requested an urgent appointment, citing medication concerns. When the nurse inquired about my visit's purpose, I kept my explanation ambiguous, sufficient to secure a same-day appointment during my lunch break. Dr. Patel greeted me with her customary warm professionalism. "Geneva, this is unexpected. Is everything satisfactory?" I closed her office door and took a deep breath. I need to determine if it's possible someone has been substituting my fertility medication with sugar tablets. Her expression transformed from surprise to worry. "That's a grave accusation. What leads you to believe this might be occurring?" I explained my discovery, showing her photographs of the tablets from my organizer compared to images of the actual medication. Dr. Patel examined them carefully, her frown intensifying. "These do appear different," she agreed. "I cannot confirm they're sugar tablets without testing, but they're definitely not what I prescribed." She asked direct questions about who had access to my medication, and I reluctantly explained Beverly's role in managing my prescriptions. Dr. Patel's expression grew troubled. "Geneva, medication tampering is illegal. It's a form of assault. If your mother-in-law is doing this, you should consider involving authorities." The thought was overwhelming. "I need additional proof first," I said, "and I need to determine if my husband knows." Dr. Patel wrote a new prescription, instructing the pharmacy to allow only me to collect it. "Keep this medication secure," she advised, "and consider consulting with a therapist about handling the situation. This is a profound trust violation." I left her office with the prescription clutched in my hand, feeling simultaneously vindicated and devastated. My suspicions weren't paranoia. They were reality. However, confirmation brought new challenges. Should I confront Beverly immediately? Tell Michael? Contact police? I filled the prescription at a different pharmacy and kept the medication in my desk drawer at work. That evening at home, I pretended nothing had changed, swallowing Beverly's sugar tablets while she watched with that same satisfied smile. Over the following 2 weeks, I took my genuine medication at the office while maintaining the charade at home. I documented everything: photographs of the fake tablets, dates and times Beverly reminded me to take them, the bottle of real medication I had found hidden in her belongings. I created a secure digital record that couldn't be discovered or destroyed. What I didn't do was confide in Michael. His continued silence during Beverly's pointed comments made me uncertain where his loyalties truly resided. Had he known all along? Was he complicit in his mother's scheme? My uncertainty was resolved 3 weeks later when I overheard them arguing in his home office. I stood outside the door, listening. "Mom, this has continued long enough," Michael said, his voice uncharacteristically firm. "I spoke with the doctor today. Geneva's been following the treatment plan perfectly. There's no reason it shouldn't be working." My heart lifted momentarily. He was defending me. "Unless the problem isn't the treatment," Beverly replied. "Have you considered that maybe she doesn't want children? That she's secretly taking birth control? Career women often claim they want families, but postpone it indefinitely." "That's absurd," Michael protested, but his tone lacked conviction. "Is it? She works late twice weekly. She's on her phone constantly. For all you know, she could be living a completely different life. Geneva wouldn't do that. Wouldn't she? I found this in her purse yesterday." There was a moment of silence, then Michael's shocked voice. "A birth control pill packet? Are you certain? Check the name on the prescription if you don't believe me." My blood ran cold. Beverly had planted false evidence. Worse, Michael seemed ready to believe it. After 2 years of shared struggle, his faith in me was so fragile that one planted discovery could shatter it. I backed away from the door, my mind racing. The situation had just escalated beyond anything I had imagined. Beverly wasn't just preventing a pregnancy, she was actively trying to destroy my marriage. That night, Michael confronted me in our bedroom, his expression a mixture of hurt and anger. "Is there something you want to tell me?" he asked, holding up a birth control pill packet with my name on it. I stared at the packet, momentarily speechless. It looked authentic, a standard prescription with a label from our regular pharmacy. Beverly must have gone to extraordinary lengths to create this forgery. "That's not mine," I said finally. "I've never seen it before." "It has your name on it, Geneva. Mom found it in your purse." "And you believe her?" I asked, my voice rising. "Your mother went through my personal belongings, produced something I've never seen before, and you're taking her word over mine?" His resolve faltered slightly. "I don't know what to believe anymore. 2 years of treatments with no results. The doctors say there's no medical reason it's not working." "So, you think I've been sabotaging our chances? Why would I do that? Why would I put myself through the appointments, the side effects, the monthly disappointment?" "I don't know," he exclaimed. "Maybe you changed your mind about wanting children. Maybe you're afraid of how it will affect your career. People change, Geneva." The irony was almost unbearable. While I had been discovering Beverly's betrayal, she had been setting up a counter-narrative that painted me as the deceiver. And Michael, the man who had promised to stand by me through everything, was ready to believe the worst. "Michael, look at me," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "I have never taken birth control behind your back. I want a child, our child, more than anything." He studied my face, uncertainty written in his features. "Then how do you explain this?" He gestured to the pill packet. I made a split-second decision. I couldn't tell him about Beverly's medication tampering. Not yet. If he repeated my accusations to her, she might destroy the evidence I had collected. "I can't explain it," I said carefully, "but I swear to you it's not mine. Someone is trying to come between us." He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture of frustration I had seen countless times during our fertility journey. "This is crazy. Why would anyone do that? Think about it, Michael. Who benefits if we start doubting each other? Who's been living with us, inserting herself into our most private struggles?" His expression hardened. "Don't bring my mother into this. She's been nothing but supportive." Has she? Or has she been undermining me since the day we got married? Making comments about my age, my career, comparing me to your ex-girlfriends? She's old-fashioned, that's all. She wants what's best for me. And she doesn't think that's me. I finished softly. Michael shook his head. "You're being paranoid. Mom would never." A knock at our bedroom door interrupted him. Beverly stood there, her expression a perfect mask of concern. "I couldn't help overhearing," she said. "I'm so sorry this is happening, but perhaps it's for the best that everything's out in the open now." The calculated innocence in her voice made my skin crawl. This was a performance designed to drive the final wedge between Michael and me. "Nothing is out in the open," I retorted. "You planted that pill packet." Beverly's eyes widened with practiced shock. Why would I do such a thing? "Michael, can you believe what she's accusing me of?" Michael looked between us, clearly torn. In that moment, I realized the true extent of Beverly's manipulation. She had been working on him for months, maybe years, planting seeds of doubt about my commitment, my honesty, my worthiness as his wife. "I think we all need some space," he said finally. "Geneva, maybe you should stay with a friend for a few days until we figure this out." The betrayal was complete. Beverly had succeeded in turning Michael against me, in making me the outsider in my own marriage. As I packed an overnight bag with shaking hands, I understood that everything had changed. This wasn't just about having a baby anymore. This was war. I checked into a hotel that night, my mind racing with plans and contingencies. The next morning, I called in sick to work and visited my gynecologist again, requesting a full workup including a blood test that would show whether I had any birth control hormones in my system. Dr. Patel arranged for expedited results, understanding the urgency of my situation. "Geneva, "Have you considered that your husband might be involved in this deception?" she asked gently as the nurse drew my blood. I had considered it during the long, sleepless night at the hotel, but I couldn't bring myself to believe Michael would actively participate in such a scheme. "I think he's being manipulated," I said. "Beverly has always had a powerful influence over him. Even so, his willingness to believe these accusations without evidence is concerning," Dr. Patel noted. She was right, of course. Michael's readiness to doubt me revealed a fundamental weakness in our relationship. But I wasn't ready to give up on our marriage, not until I understood exactly what had been happening in our home. The blood test results came back 2 days later, confirming no trace of birth control hormones in my system. Armed with this medical evidence, I decided it was time to retrieve the real fertility medication I had discovered in Beverly's drawer. If I could present both the blood test results and the hidden pills to Michael, perhaps he would finally see the truth. I returned to our house while Michael was at work, using my key to enter quietly. Beverly's car wasn't in the driveway, which I took as a fortunate sign. Moving swiftly to the guest bathroom, I opened the drawer where I had found my medication, only to discover it was empty. A quick search of the entire bathroom yielded nothing. Beverly had moved the evidence. I expanded my search to her bedroom, carefully checking drawers and closets while ensuring everything remained exactly as I found it. Nothing. As I was about to give up, I noticed her bedside table drawer was slightly ajar. Inside was a journal, Beverly's handwriting clearly visible on the pages. I hesitated, knowing I was crossing a line by reading her private thoughts. But she had crossed far more significant lines with her actions. The journal entries confirmed my worst suspicions. Beverly had been systematically replacing my medication since shortly after she moved in, convinced that I was wrong for her son and determined to prevent me from trapping him with a child. More disturbingly, she had begun suggesting to Michael that we consider divorce, positioning herself as the supportive mother who only wanted his happiness. I took photos of the relevant pages with my phone, careful to replace the journal exactly as I had found it. As I was closing the drawer, I heard the front door open. "Hello? Is someone here?" Beverly's voice called from the entryway. I froze, frantically scanning the room for a place to hide. The closet was too obvious, under the bed too exposed. The in-suite bathroom was my only option. I slipped inside just as Beverly's footsteps approached her bedroom. Through the crack in the door, I watched her enter, glance around suspiciously, and then check her bedside drawer, the very one I had just been searching. She opened the journal, examining it carefully, as if checking whether it had been disturbed. Apparently satisfied, she locked the journal in the drawer and removed the key, placing it on a chain around her neck. Then she retrieved her phone and made a call. "Michael? It's Mom. You'll never believe what I just found in Geneva's things. Printouts of sperm donor profiles. I think she was planning to get pregnant without telling you. It wasn't going to be your child." My heart pounded so loudly I was certain she would hear it. Another fabrication, another attempt to destroy Michael's trust in me. But this lie had given me an unexpected opportunity. Beverly was leaving the house again, heading to Michael's office to show him this evidence. The moment I heard the front door close, I emerged from hiding, my mind racing with a new plan. Beverly had revealed her playbook, and now I knew exactly how to counter it. 3 weeks later, Beverly called a family meeting at our house. Michael had returned home after a week, apologetic and confused. The blood test results had forced him to question Beverly's claims, though he remained uncertain about who to trust. We existed in an uneasy truce, sleeping in separate rooms while trying to navigate the fractured landscape of our marriage. Beverly, sensing her influence waning, had escalated her campaign. She invited Michael's siblings, their spouses, and several family friends to what she described as an intervention for Michael's marriage. I knew what she was planning. The journal entries I had photographed detailed her intent to publicly announce my barrenness as grounds for Michael to divorce me, positioning herself as the concerned mother who only wanted her son to have the family he deserved. What she didn't know was that I had been taking my actual fertility medication for over a month now, retrieved from my secure workplace and administered properly. And I had received news that would dismantle her scheme entirely. The living room was tense as family members arrived, casting curious glances between Michael and me. Beverly orchestrated the seating arrangements to place herself at the center with Michael beside her and me slightly apart. "Thank you all for coming," she began gravely. "I've asked you here because I'm deeply concerned about Michael and Geneva's situation. After years of trying, it's become clear that Geneva cannot provide the family Michael has always wanted." Murmurs of sympathy rippled through the room as Beverly continued, her voice dripping with false compassion. "Some women aren't meant to be mothers, and I believe it's time we acknowledge this difficult truth. Michael deserves a chance at fatherhood before it's too late." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to me. Beverly's expression was triumphant, certain she had orchestrated my ultimate humiliation. I smiled calmly and reached into my purse, retrieving an envelope. Oh, right, I almost forgot. I placed the envelope on the coffee table. "I have some news to share with everyone." Beverly's face paled as I opened the envelope and removed the ultrasound image, passing it to Michael first. His eyes widened, darting between the photo and my face in disbelief. Are you?" he stammered. 10 weeks pregnant," I confirmed, my voice steady despite the emotions swelling in my chest. "Dr. Patel confirmed it last week. We're having a baby, Michael." The room erupted in confused congratulations as the ultrasound made its way around the circle. Beverly snatched it when it reached her, studying it as if searching for evidence of forgery. "This is impossible," she hissed. "You can't be pregnant." "Actually, I can," I replied. "Once I started taking the real medication instead of the sugar pills you'd been substituting, conception happened rather quickly." A shocked silence fell over the room. Beverly's face contorted with rage and panic. "What are you talking about? That's absurd." "Is it?" I turned to address the gathered family. "Beverly has been replacing my fertility medication with sugar pills for nearly 2 years. She hid my real prescription, created false evidence to make Michael doubt me, and deliberately sabotaged our attempts to start a family." I retrieved my phone and displayed the photos of Beverly's journal entries, passing it to Michael first. His expression shifted from confusion to horror as he read his mother's words in her own handwriting. "Mom," he whispered, "is this true?" Beverly stood abruptly, knocking over a glass in her haste. "This is all a fabrication. She's trying to turn you against me, Michael. She's always been jealous of our relationship." But her protests fell on deaf ears as the evidence of her manipulation circulated through the stunned family gathering. One by one, Michael's siblings and their spouses rose to leave, their congratulations to us now mixed with coldness toward Beverly. As the last guest departed, Beverly stood isolated in the center of the room, her carefully constructed scheme in ruins around her. "You should pack your things," Michael said quietly. "I think it's time you found your own place to live." I rested my hand protectively over my stomach, feeling for the first time in years that the future I dreamed of was finally within reach. 6 months later, our home felt transformed. Beverly had moved to a senior living community across town, her attempts to reconcile with Michael rebuffed until she agreed to therapy. The spare bedroom that had been hers was now a nursery, walls painted a soothing sage green, filled with books and toys gifted by friends and family who had rallied around us after learning the truth. Michael and I had attended counseling together, rebuilding the trust that Beverly had so methodically dismantled. It wasn't easy. There were difficult conversations about his willingness to believe the worst of me, about the dynamics of his relationship with his mother, about the boundaries we needed to establish going forward. But each session strengthened our foundation, preparing us for the family we were about to become. Dr. Patel continued to monitor my pregnancy with special attention, given our history. "Everything looks perfect," she assured me during my latest checkup. "After everything you've been through, you deserve this happiness, Geneva." I had kept my job at the law firm, though I planned to take a generous maternity leave when the baby arrived. My experience had inspired me to help create a new policy at work supporting employees undergoing fertility treatments, providing flexible scheduling and confidential resources. The most profound change, however, was internal. The woman who had endured Beverly's manipulation in silence, who had blamed herself for failures that were never her fault, had been replaced by someone stronger and more certain. I had discovered my capacity to fight for what mattered most, to gather evidence, to strategize, to prevail against someone who wished me harm. As I felt our daughter kick beneath my palm, a strong, insistent movement that seemed to announce her readiness for the world, I smiled. Some lessons come at a high price, and Beverly had paid it in full.